Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is your February edition of the Spinner Rack. I'm Nathan Kennedy. That is Tyler Baker. This week, of course, Spawn issue number 5 to make good from a couple weeks ago when we were going to do this. Unfortunately, we lost Carl Weathers, so we did Action Jackson instead. But hey, we're here. We're going to be talking Todd McFarlane, which early 90s, coming off of Spider-Man, doing his own thing, Image Comics, a darker, grittier comic book than what we had kind of seen up until this point, and it sort of would pave the way for the rest of the 90s, honestly, because you would see this transition happening across all mediums, comic books, movies, eventually professional wrestling, one of our favorite things to talk about. We'll get into it in a bit. I don't want to just dive right on into it. We got some other shit to talk about, of course. Tyler, don't really know where I'm going with this. What have you bought lately? Because we were talking before the show. I haven't bought much. I bought that Brave Star comic that I shared in our Facebook group, and that will be a topic for another day. But I haven't really been buying much of anything. What have you been eyeballing and pulling the trigger on?
It's been pretty minimal too, after a long stretch of buying classifieds and trying to army build and not really getting very far with it because it's 25 or more a piece for a figure. So
yeah,
army building sounds like a great idea in your mind. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this many of this and that. You're like, oh my God, no, I really can't do that because I got bills and I got to eat and all these other important things. Like, it's a wonderful thought. But I bought the Action Jackson poster, upgraded it to Blu-ray, and the Conan Chronicles will be out this week in 4K, so I got it. And Darkman, I bought that in 4K. That's coming out the same day as Conan, so I'm expecting all of them to ship at the same time. So the Rocky collection in 4K, which I finally bought, last Friday, and it just arrived yesterday. So
have not redeemed those digital codes yet, but thank you.
I know you will. I know you will.
No, I plan to because.
Yeah.
The Rocky franchise, much like anything else, will be on one streaming service for X amount of time, and then it'll hop over to another one, and it'll bounce back, and then it'll go somewhere else, and then it'll be over here. And I'm starting to get tired of it. I saw a news article yesterday that Paramount Plus wants to merge with another streaming service, and they've been in talks with Peacock. And I'm like, at this point, we're just going back to just get fucking cable. If all of them are just going to have their own thing, and then 5 years or less later, some even less than that are like, no, yeah, we're merging with this and we're changing the name. I'm like, God, just stick to one thing, like Vudu, which, going back to the digital codes, when Tyler sends me those, or when I purchase movies digitally, it's with Vudu, but Vudu's going to change their name to Fandango at Home. And I'm like, why? Why are we doing this? Just stop. But whatever. There's been a lot of jokes. It's like, I can't wait for Mount Cock to come out. I'm like, yeah, that's a good name.
Yeah. But it just feels like as many streaming services as there are, you did it to get out of paying the godly prices of cable. Now you got so many streaming services. Now you're like, now you're pretty much paying the same price you were paying. But at least there's one part that, you know what, you can pick what you want, and you don't have to, buy into the scheduled programming shit.
Yeah.
If you want to watch the shitty new or recently. I only say this because it was on TV at the gym yesterday. The shitty recent Matrix sequel. Like if you want to watch that at your
What
own disposal,
what was
then you
even the
can.
name of that?
Fuck, I don't know.
Resurrections. There we go.
Oh, I had no
Yeah.
interest. I hated the sequels.
Yeah,
And
it
I
looked
actually watched
very
The
bad.
Matrix for the first time in years back in October. I'm like, this movie is.
The first
It
one,
did,
I think the first one still
it's
kind
all
of
right,
it holds
but
up.
I didn't have a hard on for it like the way the rest of the world did. Like the action sequences and the soundtrack were good, but it did not make me think like, oh my god, like The Matrix. Like, I want to. I just it was fine, and when the sequels came out, I thought they were the figures that McFarlane put out were cool and a lot of fun.
Reloaded was all right. The soundtrack was pretty
Soundtrack was
kick-ass
awesome,
again.
yeah. Revolution sucked balls. I fucking hated that movie.
Yeah, that
Ugh.
I can't remember if it was that or Blade 2, where John went with us and the guy behind him had his feet up on the seat.
The dog shit or something.
Dog shit on the bottom of them.
Well, I know. Blade 2. You and I saw that together because I think
so. It may have been the third Matrix.
The Matrix,
movie,
yeah. Because I took my brother to go see it because I didn't want to see it. So you weren't with us for that one. So it must have been.
It was Revolution. That then. It had to have been that then, because John was like, he's like, dude, do you smell that? And I was like, no, man. He's like, it smells like dog shit. And then you look. I mean, it's a picture it. You're in a dark movie theater. The only thing that you can really see is just when the film itself is projecting onto everyone, and there's just these two crossed boots. And on the bottom, I'm like, yeah, he's probably got dog shit or something on the bottom of his shoe. And he's like, man. And I had a good laugh at that.
Which I feel like that would only happen to your cousin John.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's something only me and Nathan know, too. It just feels like you don't want to have something like that happen when Nathan's around. And I feel like stuff like that would happen a lot to John.
Well, back then.
Things like back then. Yeah, things are different now. Like, we're all, much more different than they were back then.
Mature, somewhat.
Yeah. But I just felt like back then, if something embarrassing ever went down, the last person in the world you would ever want around you is Nathan. Because Nathan would just jump on your head and he would just, oh my God. It's like, I would much rather a really hot girl see this happen and I'd be embarrassed in front of her than Nathan, because Nathan would just
But what about if you embarrass yourself in front of a hot girl and I'm there to point it out and make fun of you while the hot girl's there? But
looking like a fool in front of a hot girl is never, unless she thinks it's cute or something like that.
I doubt it.
Yeah. So typically, no. No matter what, it just makes it worse if you're there to pour salt on the wound.
Yeah.
That's just there's nothing more. That is the ultimate Mortal Kombat fatality. Like Nathan make fun of you in front of a hot girl, or Nathan just make fun of you. If something bad happens, you just don't want Nathan to be there. Back in the day, yeah, not now. Nathan, believe me, is
I don't care anymore now. I just
he's sympathetic to your problem or your issue. He's
maybe.
Well, it depends on what it is.
I'd probably just be like, and then walk away. I'm not going to be the one to be like, that's how it was before. And
that's how high school was. Which you always loved it as long as it wasn't you.
Yeah.
But if it was you, you're like, oh my God,
Yeah, I could dish it out. Couldn't take it.
No, Nathan couldn't take it. But I think the thing was back then, it was no one was witty enough to throw it right back at you.
That's true. Or if they tried, I just slung it back.
Yeah. Well, and most what few times people did try, it was laughable or embarrassing or not so much like you could really just make fun of their mudslinging and everyone's laughing at that because you're making fun of it. So it pretty much left you bulletproof,
for the most part.
Well, at least it always kind of came off like that,
Well, that's a whole other can of worms if we dive deeper into the psyche of teenage Nathan. But I watched. I text you about this more. Text you about that this morning. God, I watched Beverly Hills Cop for the first time in full. I've seen like chunks on
Mhm.
TV before, but I liked it a lot. I plan on watching the sequels and probably even subjecting myself to that shitty fourth one on Netflix.
Oh
when it
yeah.
comes out. That I honestly, just going by the trailer, it's going to be like anything else that we're cashing in on the nostalgia. It's the whole script is going to base itself on, you remember that and you
Yeah.
remember that, and I don't
Oh
want
look, he references social media, and
he did it again.
know,
But I
yeah.
really like that first one, and it makes sense why it was the second highest grossing film in 1984, only behind Ghostbusters.
hmm
Totally justifiable, and I recommend that you give it another shot, because you had said some stuff that you had seen it or its sequels like ages ago.
Yeah, because there was that one stretch where where my dad really backed off on like worrying about the R rating in movies, and we're just renting movies that he thought were great or that we were always interested in. We rented Beverly Hills Cop, and we enjoyed it. I guess I just had this idea about it that it was this
Right.
unbelievable, legendary film, and because this would have been like the mid to late '90s when I finally saw it, and I enjoyed it, but it didn't make me want to go rent it again. Like it was fine.
Give it another
but,
shot. I think you'd have a greater appreciation for it now, especially one of the scenes at the beginning of the movie when he's undercover trying to catch these guys, and the dude takes off in this tractor trailer that has like the
yeah,
two trailers,
and then the neutron dance takes off during that sequence.
yeah,
like, of the music, right?
But it's very well done, and it's maybe it's just seeing it all these years now and just appreciating the practicality of everything, that they weren't going to CG, like this is a truck actually running into these cars on screen. To me, that's what pulled me in. But I think you could go ahead and give that a shot at some point.
I'm definitely, because I got Paramount. It's a Paramount film, so I can always go on there and watch it. You said it's on YouTube, so I got no problem.
Well, it was on YouTube. It was on YouTube for free. I haven't double checked to see if it's still there, and it's on Netflix too. The first one, anyway. I think the sequels are definitely on Paramount.
Oh yeah, and I've only seen the third one all the way through. Part two, I just seen pieces of it over the years, just because it never resonated with me to like go. Even though the cover looked really cool, I'd heard mixed stuff about it. I just never made it a point to like sit down and like, not like when the Nutty Professor came out. We went and saw that like 3 or 4 times in theaters and bought it the day it came out on VHS. I haven't seen that movie in probably over 20 years, if not more than that. But
I've only seen it, I think, the one time when we rented it when it came out on VHS. It was fine. Obviously, the shit that you remember, the two things I remember most from that is Dave Chappelle.
Yes. I was just talking about him the other day in that movie.
And then, of course, the farting around the family, like the table scene.
That was the dinner scenes were definitely the ones I felt like everybody was talking about, because it was so well done, and it was fun to know that's Eddie playing every character. It's a different personality, different makeup, and it was very well done.
One movie I wanted to ask you about, because we talked about it ages ago. Let's see if. Did you end up watching Nice Guys at all with Russell Crowe and?
No, no, not that I didn't want to. I just never made it.
Come on, man! Did you watch Blowout with John Travolta?
I didn't do that either.
Come on, man! What are you pulling a motto on me now?
No, because I will get shit done, and I won't give you a bunch of bullshit, make a bunch, and go, no, I promise,
watch those.
No, like me.
Watch those.
I tell you what. Other than finishing meal prep tomorrow and my usual, thing, I will make sure I watch one of those tomorrow. You have my honest to God word. All my He-Man collection, one of those will be watched tomorrow.
All right, and I will resend you the link for Blowout if it's still on YouTube.
Okay, all right. Is Nice Guys streaming anywhere at the moment?
It's on Netflix.
Okay, all right, cool. So either one of them I could just put right on, and I might even, when I have my afternoon C4, I might be what I watch one of those while I have my afternoon C4.
Okay,
so
I really hope that you like them. I think
I do. I'm confident I will like
Nice Guys.
Whichever one. I trust your judgment. You and I, for the most part, have never really recommended anything that the other one truly didn't like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to finish watching Some Kind of Monster too. So I'm like, Lars, you piece of shit. You're a shitty drummer.
I just thought it was so random that you were watching that, and then you just start laying.
So after I finish Beverly Hills Cop, I'm on Netflix, and I'm scrolling through everything, and I'm like, I want to watch something, and I've come across. I watched Some Kind of Monster years ago. I blind bought it on DVD because I really like documentaries, and I like documentaries on just subject matters that I enjoy quite a bit, whether it's music or sports. When I was really heavily into sports. And for those of you who don't know, Some Kind of Monster is a documentary about Metallica during the time period when their bass player of 15 years quit the band, and they didn't have a bass player, but they're starting to record their new album, Saint Anger, which would come out in 2004 or 3, somewhere around there. And it was their first since like 1998. And they were at that weird crossroads because at the time, music itself wasn't like the metal bands were new metal. Like the genre had shifted in the interest. So Metallica, while still popular, was definitely quite a few pegs under some of the more popular acts of the time, like your Korns and your Limp Bizkits, Disturbed, et cetera, et cetera. So it just kind of follows them, and they're changing and trying to work better together as a band, because it's Lars and James have always been the ones writing the music for all the albums, and everyone else is essentially like, oh, we'll just come in and play your part, and that's it. So I just randomly, I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna put it on and just like kind of half pay attention to it, listen to it. And I'm like, man, it just took me back to that time period where Lars was like that whole Napster thing, and like he was a douchebag then, and watching him this, I'm like, yeah, you're so full of yourself, and you're not that good of a drummer anyway. You just play the same shit over and over and over again. So I need to go and just and finish that, because I think they end up having like the bass player auditions and that, and picking their new guy. So I don't know. I'm just, especially after work and it's the weekend and I'm starting to knock back a couple drinks, I usually put on documentaries about shit. Like Tyler can tell you all the time. ESPN 30 for 30s, Magic Moment, the Redeem Team, which that's a Netflix one, but I'm like, oh, they made a documentary about the USA basketball team after they kind of failed to get gold after they've been so dominant for so long. What's this all about? And that was fantastic.
The one about Malice in the Palace?
Yes, that
was really good. I've watched that one that one should have been 2 or 3 hours long. It's only an hour long. Like, fuck.
That's like the Untold thing on Netflix, right?
Yeah. And I watched the one about the ref that was kind of giving out information. Oh, yeah. That was really good too. I enjoyed the hell out of that one. And which always made me feel like, I watch NBA. It's the only sport that I watch, but you just couldn't help but wonder: are there certain things that are done in the NBA to kind of favor? And that documentary alone, within the first 10 minutes, you're already aware that favors are done to the stars. You know.
No, and it's not just the NBA. Like
no. But I it's just one of those things. Like, you always hear corruption in college sports, basketball, football, especially, and probably NFL too. And of course, now that you can bet on everything now, but but just knowing that, I just often couldn't help but feel like, the organizations that run these sports like have a narrative they want to push. They have players they want to make sure are seen, and their games are featured, and they're hoping they'll make the finals and playoffs. And when they don't, it's almost like, oh, we had all this money invested in trying to push this one guy, and it's not working out. Now this team's come through like.
Well, that's kind of also too like the biggest thing when it comes to TV distribution as well, right? Like games that are shown on TNT more often or not are the bigger markets, right? A lot of the small market teams don't normally get to play.
They will get they'll get on occasion like a nationally televised game on TNT or ESPN in like a prime time spot.
Yeah.
But for the most part, unless you're in that local market, you're not going to see, the Rockets play a whole lot until they get a star that, or the Wizards. Like in our area, we get the Wizards because we're in Virginia. That's the closest NBA team we have, even though technically Charlotte's a little bit closer. Right. But still, that's who we get.
And, but even then, like with hockey and the Capitals, like anytime like the Hurricanes play I can't watch it because the shit's blacked out. Like even on the streaming stuff, I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah, if the Heat play the Wizards, I don't have cable, so I can't watch it
Yeah, it's
because they want you
horseshit.
to watch they want you to watch the televised. Like, well, why can't I stream that? I mean,
Uh-huh.
there are ways you can, but that's the only outlet
Oh
I
yeah,
have to watch games is
right.
just to stream it on NBA League Pass. When playoffs start, I got to go to my mom's house, which is
And it
just right up
makes
the street.
zero
But
fucking sense because it's like I'm gonna watch the Carolina Hurricanes feed from Bally Sports. I'm not gonna watch whatever the fucking
yeah,
Capitals are
same
on. So
me
why is it
too.
still blacked out?
Yeah, it's fucked up because I only watch the Miami Heat telecast. I don't want to hear anyone else's commentary. I don't want to hear anyone else's halftime show. This
Yeah,
is what I'm like. No, you got to watch the nationally or the
doesn't it,
televised.
dude? Doesn't it suck? For me, like when they do ESPN Hockey Night and I have to watch a Canes game, but I have no choice but to watch the shitty ESPN commentators
Oh,
call the game, and I'm like, this is terrible.
yeah, yeah. Because I would much rather watch all my Heat games with
With the
Eric Reed and
people
Tony. And
the
yeah,
people that are there with it that
yeah,
know the team inside and out,
yeah.
not just a talking head and a bigger corporation. It's like, all right, well, they know the names well enough, but they don't even know half the rules. It sounds like
No, and I'm like I'm so put out with other than the crew that for TNT, I don't give a fuck about
the TNT crew is great. That's what Shaq,
Shaq,
Barkley,
Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and of course Ernie Johnson.
yeah.
I've been listening to him since 1997.
Which Shaq ended up coming on later, but it used to just be Charles and Kenny and
Kenny, yeah,
Ernie.
for the longest time, and then when
Yeah.
Shaq retired, which was like 2010,
Yeah.
was his last season in the NBA. Then he joined, and he works well with them.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I they got a phenomenal, and then they'll bring in other players from time to time, like Draymond Green. Fuck him.
Is he the one that likes to fight people all the time?
Yeah, he's always getting in trouble, and he gets away with it, and then they finally made an example of him after. It's like, dude, enough's enough.
So
Quit hitting people in the balls. Quit punching people.
So he's like the Dennis Rodman of the modern era,
but not cool.
Okay.
Dennis Rodman was cool because he wasn't deliberately like Rodman will irritate players. This guy's deliberately hitting and punching and kicking people in the face and the balls like blatantly. Like this isn't like him like jerking at your shorts to get you irritated and shit like that.
When's he gonna be on a wrestling show?
It's funny because when he just had a major suspension about a month or so ago, and there was a picture of him holding up a WWF title.
Oh.
What the
fuck,
man?
WWE, man, get it right.
I don't like saying WWE, but anyway. But I guess the movies like I actually I watched Terminator today. I was in the mood to watch Terminator.
Oh shit!
Hell yeah. And I've been thinking about it all week. I'm like, when I have some free time this week, I'm gonna sit down, watch Terminator, put it on, and
gonna stand by. Terminator better than T2.
I've always felt that way as an adult.
Yeah.
I love the grittier feel of it. The story's better. Plus, T2 just tells the same beast as the first film. Just Arnold's a good guy, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Grander scale, bigger budget.
Yeah, bigger scale, more budget. It's a phenomenal.
It's got Budnick though. So
yeah, Budnick's in it, which I wish the world had more Budnick in it, but it's a phenomenal film. It's a masterpiece, but the first one's better. And what's fucked up though, and we've argued. I think we touched on this from time to time on some other stuff. Is that people will praise the ever-living shit out of T2 as if it's like Arnold's only film, and yet they'll shit on films that copy the same beats as the first film as if like this is so unoriginal, this is so lazy, what a shitty script. All it does is repeat the same beats as the first film. Like what the fuck? Terminator 2 did it with a shit ton more money and repeats the exact same thing that happened in the first film.
Yeah,
everyone
Arnold's babyface. That's all it is.
That's it. It's the exact same formula, and no one calls it out for it. Like, it's nothing wrong with that, but when people shit on other good movies, like Ghostbusters 2, Wayne's World 2, Addams Family 2, not that they shit on, but they may call them lazy sequels because it's just repeating the same beats as the first film. And yet, Terminator 2, one of the most successful films of all time,
gets a pass.
Why?
I couldn't tell you.
I mean, fucking pickup truck races, meetup of both heel and face in the same location as the person that's in the middle of all this. Happens in the first film, happens in the second film. Big grandiose chase to a big factory. There's all these things that it's like it's perfectly fine, guys. Like it's okay to repeat some of these beats. Sometimes it just doesn't work out as well, but most sequels tend to do that. and it's not a bad thing. It doesn't make Ghostbusters 2 a shitty movie because you know, oh, it's the same piece as the first film. Like, no, not really. But I don't know. It's just kind
Yeah,
of a
no,
random rant.
no. You're right. There's more going on, like storyline wise, with Ghostbusters too.
Yeah, I mean,
But
they've gone the separate ways.
obviously, of
And,
course, I prefer the first movie, but I love the
well, I
second
do
one just
too.
as
But I love
much.
this. Yeah, I love the second one too. I love Vigo. I love the look of the Ecto One in the movie. I just, the black suits and the slime, packs that they've got. Like, there's some wonderful, advancements in the the characters and everything. And you want this. What would you rather have seen them do in Ghostbusters 2? Not fight any ghost? Not fight a big threat in New York? Like,
Yeah.
what did you people want to see?
Yeah.
Not that.
Oh, what? Hey, we're gonna control the Statue of Liberty with the Nintendo.
Yeah, which is awesome. And
I love it. I
me
mean,
too.
yeah.
It's
Vigo, man, like
which scared the fuck out of me as a kid.
Yep.
I thought Vigo was creepy.
Same.
His face coming into frame in the painting and saying, "Listen to me," and
Yep.
you see the slime inside the painting as as the talking head. It's like, oh my god!
And then at the end when he's like morphing in all the different things, and I was like,
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, and then seeing Janusz as this evil nanny
Yeah.
as a ghost, like, oh my god, that scared the fuck out of me when I saw that in the theater. You and I may have been in the same theater at the same time, when that movie came out.
Probably not.
No. You saw it at the mall, didn't you?
Ghostbusters 2?
Yeah.
I don't think I saw it in theaters.
Oh, okay, never mind then. I could have swore I thought you said you told me that you saw that in theaters.
No. I got a message from Ren. Your audio is a bit low, so I'll move the microphone closer to me, Ren. Maybe that'll make me sound a little bit louder. Simple Tricks and Nonsense said this: just like the first Predator, the first Terminator can be viewed as a horror movie.
Yes.
Thereafter, they become more like action films.
Yeah, the Terminator definitely is more of a horror movie. I almost say it's very sci-fi, but much like how Predator it could be considered sci-fi, it's more action horror.
Yeah.
And Terminator is more of an action horror. But hell, Predator 2 is definitely Predator 2 is action horror also because there's some
horror elements too.
Yeah, very much so. But I forgot what I was going to say in addition to that. But yeah, no, very much so. And just watching it tonight too. It's a fun horror movie. I mean, you really could view it as a horror movie. Mm-hmm. Watch it during Halloween. Of course, Terminator is one of those movies you don't have to.
Yeah, I don't consider that doesn't fit for me. And I'm going to watch this in October. That's more.
No,
I'm going to watch it whenever. I mean, October can work too, but I would watch it.
It's a film that's much like Arnold's whole catalog for the most part. You watch it any time of year. There's just certain movies that But yeah, I often think about that a lot. Why people often act like T2 is this unbelievably original sequel. Like, no, it's not. People just it's more shiny things to put into your face, and you're like, oh my god, and liquid metal, and it's like, yeah, it's awesome. I'm not saying it's awesome, but it's like, fuck, guys. It's not great. Reinventing the wheel here. It's not.
It's still amazing though that the CG in that and Jurassic Park
still looks fucking phenomenal.
Still better than the vast majority of shit we get now. And I'm like, make sense.
Yeah, and yet
30 years ago.
Yeah, and they're spending even more money to churn out all these shitty movies and this unbelievable staff of people who are putting this stuff together. Like, they're doing it for a paycheck, but
I made good on last week after Fans of Power, and I watched that Deadpool trailer. Well, it looks good. Looks fine.
Yeah, I mean,
more the same, but I'm definitely excited about having Hugh Jackman back.
That's pretty much all it is for me because I'm like I still haven't seen. I watched the Juggernaut scene on YouTube a while back from Deadpool 2 just because I'd heard like your traditional look of Juggernaut, even though he's in a jail outfit, is on screen. Okay, that looked really cool.
Yeah, no,
but it did make me want to see it then.
It's decent. I definitely prefer the first movie, but it's good enough. Good enough.
I haven't seen the first one since theaters. Like, I bought it and never watched it again, so I got rid of it. Yeah. Well, when I was cleaning all my movies, I'm like, fuck, I bought this on Black Friday for like $5 or $10. I've got to watch it. I'm like, you know what? Just get rid of it. It'll be streaming somewhere at some point. And if I really want If I really
Pretty-
want to go revisit it, I'll find some way of doing it. But look, all this time has passed. I've had no desire to revisit the first film or even watch all the second film.
It's
So,
on Disney Plus.
yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, just if it's streaming somewhere, I'll watch it. Oh, here's where it is. No, don't worry.
I remember I borrowed my brother and sister-in-law's account, and of course I got
Oh
booted
yeah,
out
yeah.
of it. Yeah.
They started cracking down on all the.
Well, no, this was like a
password
couple
sharing.
years back, and I asked to get it. The password didn't work, and I just didn't want to bug her about it. That way, I just wanted to watch more of the classic '80s superhero cartoons, like Spider-Man, the Solo series, Amazing Friends, and shit like that.
Did you watch
X-Men.
the trailer for X-Men? I did not.
No, I did not. Just because I feel like it's just going to be more agenda-based shit.
Well, see, all right, so I
don't care who they say is coming back. That's always the gimmick. Is look who's back. Look who's back. Look who's back. Like ignore.
I get that.
What we're doing here, people.
I know I get that, but people are losing their minds about when you bring up agenda and they're saying like, "Oh, it's woke and stuff." I'm like, it's fucking X-Men. Like the whole basis of that whole thing. If you really think about it.
Yeah, but what my thing
progressive
is
for its time anyway. So these people are being like, "What did they do to them?" Like they didn't do anything. It's always been this way.
Well, that's why that's not what I'm pointing. I'm thinking like they're going to make Wolverine and Cyclops lovers or something like that, just because shit like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying like for the sake of like, look how progressive we are. We're gonna
fucking shitty Seinfeld now.
No, I'm just saying,
I know that's where you pulled that from.
Well, yeah, I'm not shying away from that,
Yeah.
But it's just like it just kind of feels like that. It's more about let's just do this, and if you don't like it, well, then it means you hate gay people. Like, no, that's not the character Wolverine and Cyclops. People,
I don't think they're gonna do that.
I know they're not gonna do that. I just feel like that's gonna be more about like, look what we're doing here, and nor the fact we're not going to tell a compelling X-Men story that we pull right from the comic books, much like how Larry Houston and his crew did back with the '90s series.
Didn't Deucin say something about Larry Houston contributing more to it after this or something?
I think I thought he was just kind of brought on as like a consultant. Like, hey, almost like, hey, we got Larry Houston who ran the original series as credentials.
That's nice. Go sit over there.
And I'm certain that's all it was. And Larry, I'm sure he's happy with whatever they're doing. He'll be very proud of whatever they do. But I just feel like when you're going to use him to convince us that hey, if he signed off on it, it's the same thing. Oh, Stephen King signed off on this piece of shit. Oh, well, it's got to be good. Oh, Bruce Campbell signed off on this. Oh, this piece of shit. It's got to be good. Clint Eastwood signed off on this piece of shit. It's got to be good.
I'm still burnt out by the fact that Bruce Campbell is just like, yep, this new Evil Dead's going to blow your socks off. I have watched both that 2013 atrocity and Evil Dead Rise, which is also a piece of shit. And I'm like, you lied to me, Bruce Campbell.
See, and that's how I view. That's how I view any more of these celebrities who sign off on this new stuff. We need you to endorse this shit, so that way the idiots will buy this and they'll watch it and they'll just, even though it may be a piece of shit, they'll still say it's good because Bruce Campbell said it was good. So I can't walk out of the movie theater and say it's bad because Bruce Campbell wouldn't lie to me about that.
Yeah,
that's why I don't. You can use anyone to promote the X-Men '97 series and say whatever you want. It's not going to convince me that Disney has the best interest of the show. It says we really want to continue why this '90s series was so fucking good.
Yeah, well, it goes back to the whole point of my whole deal is just the fatigue, number one, but number two is I've lost the faith and trust that they're gonna do good by it now. So even if it is good, I'm like, all right, well, I don't care now because you've already burned me out, or like just burned me, period, with what you did here, and here. That I'm just like, whatever. I'll go watch Nice Guys or Some Kind of Monster and just fuck around with that and like not worry about this anymore.
Well, and to have as many bad superhero movies come out on both sides of the fence, all over the place, they all suck. And now you're going to tell me you're going to turn right around and deliver a continuation of one of the greatest, if not the greatest superhero cartoon that's ever been done, just because you have that much faith in it? Fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Not for a second do I believe we're going to have even an ounce of the same quality that we got from the original run. Just like how all of a sudden they wanted to do that new Batman animated series as like a prequel series.
Mm-hmm.
and then it got shit canned. It's been moved to Amazon now.
Yeah, I think it's Prime Video.
Prime. I'm like, I don't. You got J.J. Abrams attached, and all. I'm like, I don't. Fuck. I don't. You can say Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, whoever you else want, but when you got some of these modern assholes that are attached to all these shitty reboots and remakes and all this other bullshit, no, it's gonna be the same shit we've dealt with all the other properties that we love and hold near and dear to our hearts.
It goes back to what I was saying when I was talking about Beverly Hills Cop and seeing that Netflix is coming out with a fourth one. We're relying, and I'll equate this to wrestling. We are relying too much on the past successful stars, and we just keep trotting the shit out. It's like, let's build new stars. No, can't do that.
No,
and I mean
that would require effort and thought and creativity.
Yeah, so
we're not going to do that.
Yeah, so here we are.
And knowing full much too that where everything revolves around streaming services, it's all about putting content to fill it up. Don't give a shit about quality. Get this fucking stuff out there. Put it out there. Advertise it. We'll move on to the next one and fill the next hole up.
Yeah,
that's the downfall of the streaming services. It's all about throwing shit out there. It's not about putting out quality content. It just fill in the gaps.
There are exceptions to this rule. I stand by that. The Reacher show on Prime Video, second season had come out. Had just finished up a couple weeks ago. I watched it, loved it. That would be an exception because you have those Tom Cruise movies that came out before it, and I think I haven't watched either of those. So I can't really say the quality of them, but the TV series, like that a lot. There are exceptions. I want to put that out there to everybody, and
there are, of course.
It's not just us shitting on everything. There are bright spots here and there, but just as a whole,
I think the majority of it, because I felt like
too much.
Well, especially when all these streaming services started, once they got past, like, we're not just going to put movies out there, we're going to create our own content. Things like Stranger Things take off, but
then they run that shit in the ground too.
Yes, and they oh my god, we have something here. Let's milk the shit out of it, and they'll probably do a bullshit prequel series and another series, a spinoff,
and then another movie. Make a movie out of it. Oh, it's like the fucking Walking Dead, right? Like they have this spinoff. They did this spinoff with the Negan character. Now, and when I knew this was coming, it was like, oh well, what's Rick Grimes been up to? Here's this new little mini series coming out that I think originally was supposed to release theatrically, but that property has cooled off so much. They're like, all right, yeah, we're just going to put it on AMC too. So that's the problem. Like, you do have a new star, whether it's like, all right, well, here's this comic book adaptation that's very niche, dare say underground at the time. We're going to take that. We're going to make this thing. It blows up. What do? They just run it in the fucking ground, which is why I'm glad that Cobra Kai is going to be ending after this season. Because I think if they went past that, then we're we're in that territory where we're just diving it right too far into the ground.
Yeah, and as much as I want to have a show that you can keep relying on and coming back for another season, but that is one I love so much.
Yeah,
I really need it to end soon, and I'm glad this will be the last one because I don't want the quality to get. I mean, where it's just like, oh my god, look what they're doing here just to make another season. Like, honestly, I dare say, like, after how the last season ended, like, how the fuck are you gonna tie this all up now?
Yeah, it's going to be that global tournament.
Which I know that, but then I'm thinking, like, Terry Silver, like, could either fight that and get out of jail. John Kreese did get out of jail.
Yeah.
But I just kind of feel like you pretty much dismantled Cobra Kai altogether. So unless what's her name and her crew of senseis are going to go back and kind of lead like a dojo into the big tournament. Since Terry Silver is like in all this legal trouble, which I hope to God he's not done after this season. Like, I feel like he was the villain of the best season, and a lot was because of him, because they let him just go wild with him being a true villain.
Yeah,
and now he's just done, just like that. Like, oh my God! Like, I hope he like.
No, they'll figure it out.
I'm like, he can't just be done just like that. Like, there's got to be more to his story. Like, he just cannot be wrapped up like that. It can't.
Two things here. Simple Trick says 5 seasons then end. It should be a rule. I agree with that. I think 5 seasons. I mean, granted, Cobra Kai's past that, but
Yeah.
they're going to end it at season 6. But yes,
6,
five,
yeah.
I think 5 is like a good, solid, round number. Just be like, all right, cut, dry, we're done.
Yeah.
Also said when going back to the whole thing of Bruce Campbell saying this and whoever saying that. Larry Hama endorsed the Snake Eyes movie. I would have slit my wrist if I made that endorsement. So.
I'm like, yeah, I ain't shocked at all that he endorsed that. Once that movie was announced, and of course, and you know what? I think most people
tell him that's good, Larry. We'll give you like a 2% cut of the box office.
Yeah, what a shit ton of money that was. The minute I just felt like when they announced, I forgot what his name was, the guy they cast to play Snake Eyes from Crazy Rich Asians. I'm like, well, Snake Eyes is not going to be mute. You're not casting the guy based on his acting credentials to play a mute character. So they did exactly what I thought they were going to do before the credits, before they even rolled production. So like, this movie's fucked already.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I never saw it. What I've heard about it and what's in it, it was everything I thought it was going to be, and then saw another piece of shit that Lorenzo de Bonaventura produced, has no fucking clue or care for any of these characters of G.I. Joe. And just it's the fans. Clearly this is a property that's just not doing very well for Paramount. So we'll just put it back on the back burner. We'll go back to making some more shitty Transformer movies.
If you want to watch a good live action G.I. Joe, Street Fighter the movies right there. Just pop that.
Absolutely, in. Man.
Have a good time.
Absolutely.
Well, also speaking of mid '90s adaptations of various properties, Spawn issue 5. This is actually my first time. I left the book out there. Actually, got the compendium 1 that has the first 50 issues in paperback form.
Holy shit! I didn't know it had that many in it.
Yeah. You keep them talking. I'll run out there and grab it and bring it in here so you can get a better idea. All right.
But all right, I'll just put in the chat there for everybody too, like your first impressions of Spawn. You know, when you because I have maybe Nathan have read out some people's thoughts on that. But my first introduction to Spawn was a classmate of mine. I think it was 5th grade. Zach Connor was really big into X-Men and was really big into Spawn. And I had never heard of him until he came to school with a few of the books. And he was really big into the action figures a lot. And I saw them. I thought they were all awesome. He's like, you got to pick this stuff up. You got to check out the Spawn comic. And I went to the local comic shop that we did have back in the 90s downtown and picked up issue number 8. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Spawn is not in this book at all. It's nothing but naked people running around, and I had no idea they were in hell. You know, I'm in 5th grade trying to understand what the hell's going on in this book about this really cool guy with this cape and these powers, and I'm seeing naked dudes running around, naked or half-naked people, and they're being consumed by bugs and shit. I'm like, none of this makes any sense to me.
That's why you don't start. That's why you don't start at issue 8.
But my God, that thing's big.
Yeah, you could probably
holy shit.
Yeah, you could knock somebody out with it pretty easy. The only issue I have with it is it doesn't have the cover. Just when you get there at the top corner, it tells you.
It tells you what issue you're on. Okay.
But yeah, 50.
How much was that?
Like $45 on Amazon.
Okay, that's not bad for all those.
No, not bad at all. I was going to say that I do own probably the first few issues because going back when this came out, this was the big event because we're right there at the cusp of the comic book industry crashing. More or less, we're there, but people were hyping this up because Todd McFarlane had worked on Spider-Man.
Yeah,
had a good run there, and he's coming out with this new book. It's like, everybody's got to buy it. So of course, my dad, being my dad, got to get issue 1. It's going to put you through college and shit, right? So I think he bought probably the first 7, 8, 10 issues. I'd have to go down and check, but I have like a decent little selection, but had never read them until I got this, and I've only read the first 6 issues. And it's interesting reading this after watching a handful of episodes of the HBO cartoon because similar, but still vastly
Yeah.
different. But obviously so, because they wanted to just push it even further when they were doing the animated show on HBO, making it way more vulgar, way more gory and violent and sadistic.
More sexual content.
Yes, that too. Like way more nudity. You don't it's very, how to say this? It's tame by the standards when you compare it to that, but if you compare this to like a DC book or a Marvel book at the time, definitely way more mature content. But it's not either saying fuck in it that I noticed.
No, it's more about the content itself. You know, yes. Heaven and hell, demons and things like that, and it's blood all over the place, people being shot up, and blood was there in DC and Marvel comics, but it is used sparingly. Yes. It was used to showcase the heroes in peril. So you see Spider-Man having the shit beat out of him, maybe a little bit of blood on him or something like that. But this is balls to the wall, like gore all over the place, people being torn apart and things like that. And I don't remember hearing anything about it like that. It was this unsuitable for kids, because my mom, she took us down to the comic shop and she bought me issue number 8, and then when the movie came out, like the summer the movie was coming out, me and my brother were all about Spawn. Like when we were familiar with Spawn, we liked it, but we didn't keep up with it as regularly. And then when they announced the movie was coming out, we just became junkies the summer of '97. And we were, my dad was working up in Northern Virginia, like in Fairfax, and we were going to all these shops that were selling, Spawn action figures and trying to buy any Spawn comics we get our hands on. The Spawn movie figures, they were so hard to find. Yeah. My brother had the clown figure, John Leguizamo. But we really wanted Spawn. We couldn't find Spawn anywhere. Jason Wynn, Martin Sheen, fuck that. I want Michael J. White. I want Spawn. We never did find him, but it was like getting the Spawn Bible. And I remember drawing Spawn characters all summer. Like me and my brother both were just look at pictures of characters from Spawn comics and just draw them. And we were just always anticipation of the movie, like trailers, images in the comics. We were so, we couldn't believe it. And when we finally saw it, we were just kind of, like we really, like, you didn't want to admit that it wasn't as good as I was hoping. We went opening night. My mom took us to go see it, and we just kind of went outside on the trampoline, my brother and I, and just kind of sat and just kind of. And my dad was like, "I'm surprised you guys didn't want to see it again." We were like, "Well, no, it was good. Yeah, we really enjoyed it." And but we never asked to go see it again, which was disheartening.
I mean, it's understandable that you didn't want to go and see it again. That was one of those things. Once again, I rented it. Actually, fuck no. Thinking back on it now, I didn't rent it. I think the first time that I ever watched this movie would have been. That would have been the fall of spring or summer of '99 at Travis Lane's house, because this is when we first started going over there for the backyard wrestling stuff. And he had all these VHS tapes, had all these vintage video games. So after we got done doing the backyard wrestling and recording that and watching that and seeing how we did, move wise and all that shit, we were like, what are we gonna watch? And he was a big Spawn fan, and I from my recollection, really liked the movie. But to tie this back into the whole thing about how I was back then after the movie was over, because do you remember the VHS tape had, after you finished it, had the bonus features where it had Todd McFarlane, like, it was like the interview thing and the talking head segments behind the scenes. Like, he popped up and I'm like, Todd McFarlane. And I'm like, giving a little Seth Rogen laugh. And I feel like he kind of took offense to it, because after it was done, I was like, yeah, that kind of sucked, huh? And he's like, well, actually, I kind of like it that I remember. I might be remembering that wrong, because that was 25 years ago.
Well, I remember when you and I became friends, you would make fun of it too, because I remember renting on VHS and enjoying it, but I felt a lot of the dialogue was shitty. Mm-hmm. A lot of the acting was shitty in it.
The CG is really bad And
I can ignore that because
I
it's
can
not
too, but I'm just saying, well, like we can't ignore it. It is
No,
bad.
I mean it's that's not what stuck out to me. It was the shitty dialogue and a lot of the shitty acting is what really like. Oh my god, like this is
That's
bad.
mostly Martin Sheen's fault.
Martin Sheen and I remember when Wanda is she's being like when you think it's Wanda, it's really clown in disguise. So the actress playing Wanda is acting like clown, and I remember just kind of wincing like, oh my god, like this is bad. Like she's trying to play clown, but it's very like obnoxiously hammy and campy, like, and not in a good way. And Martin Sheen is a good actor as he is, like, and he looked the part.
He did.
I mean, he's the spitting image of Jason Wynn. And I'm like, fuck, man, this is just bad dialogue. Like, you read any of the Spawn comics of Jason Wynn, this is not how Jason Wynn acts.
Yeah,
he doesn't act like this. I'm going to rule the world, like this. Well, like, what are you doing?
Well, let's talk about that actually, because in the first 5 issues, you don't really get a lot of Jason Wynn in this. The first 5 issues more pertain about you're still shrouded in mystery. You have the idea that Al Simmons is, well, he's dead and his soul belongs to Satan essentially.
Yeah,
and he has no idea. Like he doesn't remember who he used to be too much, and he kind of remembers who his wife is, and you get somewhere in there, I want to say it's like maybe issue 3 or so, that he finds his wife and finds out that she's remarried, and the pieces are starting to come together, but we're not fully there as to what happened, what caused this. You're still very much like following along at by the time we get to this one. And issue 5 here kind of, I feel like it's you were saying standalone earlier. I guess we kind of say that. It kind of like it halts the main progress of the story that we're finding out, and kind of shifts it a little bit over to this other direction.
Yeah. That's why I picked this one, just because I feel like it's a self-contained story that doesn't require us to cover multiple issues in one discussion. I feel like this is something we could just kind of focus on this one issue, because I feel like a lot of them are really interconnected, where you need to read, if you read this one issue, well then you kind of have to read the next one, because the story, because that's kind of how we do things on here. We kind of like to tell or discuss a comic story. If it goes over 2 stories, maybe even 3, like Batman versus Predator, that's one thing. But this is continuous, and I feel like it's
still ongoing to this day, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah,
that
it's wonderful to think that the book is I mean, Spawn is nowhere near as popular as he was back in the 90s, but to know that the book is still going after all these years, and I couldn't tell you. I think the last issue I bought that was new was issue 100.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, and I remember there was hype around that book, and I remember being told, like, people are going to die in this book. That's how they always hyped it up.
Mm-hmm.
I went and got it at Walden Books, and I enjoyed it.
To kind of really date just how long ago issue 100 was when it came out new. Tyler went to a Walden bookstore to pick it up.
Yeah, which was I miss those days too. And I feel like when I got books at Walden Books, they were a bit later, because we didn't always have access to go to an actual comic shop. We didn't know when new books came out back then. I mean, when we were kids, it was just go and hope you found it. True. And that was it. You had no idea this.
Well, I mean, I think if we would have paid enough attention, reading like the other books, seeing at the end, like, oh, next month, you would kind of get more of an idea roughly of when it was.
It had a better idea, but there was no guarantee you were going to have access to go and find it, because it either meant going to the mall or asking your parents to take time to go to the comic shop, which like Nathan had one down the street from where he lived. Mm-hmm. We had one in downtown Radford, which was not, it wasn't far, but also it's one of the things, like, your parents are working, they don't always have time, and you got sports and stuff like that. It's just it wasn't always the most convenient thing, so you missed out on a lot of certain issues. So a lot of times going to Walden Books, because I feel like we would always go to the mall at least once a week. You get lucky and find a follow-up issue, or like the death of Spectacular Spider-Man. Spider-Man Doc Ock's going to die in this issue. Who will die in? Like, oh my God! Like, I bet Doc Ock's going to die, and
then
he does, and then they bring him back, just like everything else. But
of course.
Yeah, but that summer of '97 though, that was so much fun. It really was looking at all the various Spawn figures in the line, getting as many books as we could get a hold of, and just looking. I remember looking at the Spawn Bible and drawing, Tremor, Terry Fitzgerald, and just to see if I could do it, and just being so proud of my mom. Like, oh my, date that, And she was really encouraging about it. She just thought it was, she didn't know who they were, but she thought like you boys are doing an exceptional job with
Do
these
you
drawings.
you still have any of those?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you should dig them out one day.
I actually last weekend, like I got one book here that actually has a few Spawn drawings that I used for an English project in 12th grade and got an A on it.
You want to show it off, or you two?
I don't know. They're not bad.
Okay.
I ain't gonna be like Joel Modern, like, well, see, I was like, 7 years old under the influence of some shit, and it's really shitty. But I gotta be no. I think I did pretty fucking good, but I'm not gonna be like Joe and like.
All right. Let's see it. Here he is, the next Todd McFarlane.
No, not definitely not that. But like I just do them for fun, and we were doing a Beowulf discussion.
Yeah. Was this? Oh, you said 12th grade. That wouldn't
have been 12th grade. But I just thought like we could do like a poster board or some sort of art project or whatever what it was. I thought, well, and I remember Kim Hayes was like looking at my art book, and we just like, well, we could use these as like Beowulf and the Grendel. So we used Violator that I had drawn as the Grendel and Medieval Spawn as Beowulf.
All right, yeah, that works.
Yeah, so this is what we used. This was from a Spawn Dark Ages comic.
Oh, look at you!
Him sitting on this throne there, and that was our Beowulf. So she copied this like on a copier and then colored it, and that here's another one. This is Medieval Spawn without his mask. I never finished it, but that's just kind of like I just had done that, and then the Violator that we had used. I mean, I got a bunch of stuff in here. I looked back at it last weekend or 2 weeks ago. I was like, there's some fun stuff. A lot of unfinished shit in here, but. God, I was inspired by so much stuff back then, but where is it real quick? We'll get back on the Spawn conversation. I know it's in here somewhere. I apologize.
Oh no, you're fine. I want to see these.
Yeah, because I do have God, there's so many random, like trying to do my own version of Conan, like just I could if I looked at something I could draw it pretty damn good, but trying to do my own thing and trying to draw the correct anatomy, like I've got various here's a Violator eating a heart.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we use that as like the Grendel like destroying the village that Beowulf is coming to protect. So she colored that, and even though it's Violator eating a human heart, Miss Snow had no issue with it. So
of course not.
No, and I don't think there was any other Spawn. I forgot there was some other. I think I have another art book that from the '90s that's in here somewhere. But there was a lot more Spawn in that one too, like Tremor's in there, Terry Fitzgerald, and I think one or two others, something like that. But.
Well, let's talk about Violator, because I want to say it was it the issue before this where Spawn fights Violator?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, because they really. I mean, I'm thinking if we had access, or I had access to like start from the ground and go up, like this is a slow paced comics. This is not like you're reading a Marvel book and it's boom, 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 boom. Just one big fight after another, and I mean, this is like gradually telling a story. It's not meant. This is even though the toys, I don't know if they were necessarily marketed towards kids, but kids would they were in the toy aisles at your local Walmart. Zach Conner had Spawn Alley, the Spawn Mobile, and several of the figures. So it wasn't like you had to go to a comic shop to get them. Like you could get them at Walmart. So, but the comic itself was not made easy to interpret. Like something that a child could pick up. And just wow, look at this. Like what the fuck's going on?
Yeah. Why are there naked people? Why is hell here?
Yeah, this makes no sense to me at all. Where's Spawn? Where's all the cool things he can do? I'm not seeing any of this shit. Zach Conner, you lied to me, you asshole. Probably smoking too much pot.
I want to say, because I didn't have it pulled up, I want to say Spawn number 5. I want to say this came out in October of '92.
That sounds about right.
I'm gonna double check. Yes, October 92, which I'm sure if you enjoy what you see here, you can either buy the book, the big book that I got on Amazon.
Yeah.
You could probably pick this up for very cheap on eBay, or just go to your local comic shop. If they have back issues, I'm sure you can probably just dig through some Spawn and find it, because
it's not like it's a. I
Is
mean,
it?
Spawn 1 is pretty easy to
Yes.
buy. It's an affordable series to purchase, and I'd forgotten, like I had picked up like a bunch of early back issues. I mean, dirt cheap from a lady who was just selling a bunch of comics. She just wanted to get rid of them,
Mm-hmm.
so she gave me access just to look through them, and I bought like a shit ton for like $50.
Yep.
And some early issues of Spawn, and the first issue of Ghost Rider it was in there too. I was like, oh well, I forgot I already had that. So the one Nathan got me, it goes in a frame. The other one I might just give to my brother or something like that.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah. I bought like a bunch of Savage Sword of Conan, like magazines, all kinds of crazy. I mean, it was awesome. Anyway,
at the point where he forgets what he had.
Yeah, where am I going with this? But we were opening with Billy Kincaid, who, and just to kind of emphasize, if you never read this issue, or like, what do you think we mean when we mean mature content? We open this book with a child killer.
Yes.
And that's all it's focused on, is this guy that is being released from prison because they deem him worthy enough to be released back in society.
Which, sure.
And you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And to the much disapproval of Sam and Twitch, who are in the background, who are the beat cop duo in the Spawn series. They're the ones who are, investigating a lot of the crimes and murders and incidents that are going on where Spawn dwells, and they're just they're the I don't know what you. Well, I mean, they're the cliche cops.
Well, they're there to kind of, in a way, tie everything together, to give you a little more exposition, as Simple Tricks says here, exposition dump. That's kind of what Sam and Twitch are. They have a their back and forth is a lot of fun, especially if you want to check them out in animated form with the HBO show.
Yeah, they're good in animated form. Yeah.
But essentially, same thing here. It's them kind of either being in the background and talking about it after the fact. We'll get more into that later. But yeah, it's a lot of this is the exposition, and he's gonna be released. And they say up here at the top, the judge wanted me to remind you that you're not to have any contact with the dead girl's parents. So Jesus. Yeah, it's dark, and it's fucked up, especially here.
Going into the mind of like what he remembers doing and what he's looking forward to doing is pretty much what this is implying. That
yes,
it's this kind of content, as unsettling as it is. You could have a Spawn series, like on Netflix or something like that, where you really could stretch out and put a lot of fucked up shit in a series. And I just feel like this would be something oh my god! Like I don't know. I feel like this would be, like trying to watch the Dahmer series, where it's just like this is just too fucking much. Like
But a little spoiler here. We do get a good payoff on this.
Oh, absolutely.
But what this reminds me of here too, with the whole ice cream truck deal and everything, it reminds me of like Sweet Tooth's Twisted Metal kind of esque backstory here. But I mean, just look at this. You scream ice cream, we all scream for ice cream. But I know the number 27. Those were such fun times I'll never forget. Not ever.
And just knowing that, and it's something that I could easily see in a Spawn. That's why you make a Spawn movie PG-13 so that way kids and teenagers can get it. And you think this is what the content Spawn. This is the world about Spawn. This is what the world of Spawn is all about. It ain't about just your villain of the week, and he's going to go rob a bank, and here's going to capture him, have a slugfest, and put him in jail. Like, no, this is a fucked up reality that is somewhat kind of relatable, at least in terms of some of the stuff that's going on, not the heaven and hell stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just, we see stuff like this, these child murderers and these people, these serial killers like your Ted Bundys and your Jeffrey Dahmers and things like that, these John Wayne Gacy's, and you're like, fuck, man, like this is just
for as messed up and as shitty as this is or was with all like what we have here in the book, and then just serial killers are our most famous ones that we've had. I'll ask you this, and chat, you guys can chime in as well. I feel like with the way that technology has advanced and what we have with DNA, and not only that, but just tracking on phones and where we have cameras everywhere and all that, we would be in agreement here that I think it would be way harder for a Ted Bundy to exist in this time period.
Most definitely. Not to say that some people can get away with certain things for a time.
Yes.
But nowadays you couldn't
not in the way that they got away with
no,
it,
where they're
as long
just
as they did.
They're just, oh my God. It's unbelievable and scary as hell to know that those guys got away as long as they did to as many people as they did that to. All
Absolutely.
of them.
With the art style here, because when it comes to Todd McFarlane, even on Spider-Man, I haven't read a lot of Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man works. I actually, thanks to, I don't think he's here in the chat, but thanks to Gavin, who's often here, he actually had mailed me a trade paperback of a good chunk of McFarlane's Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, because I remember seeing like a trade paperback too, like way back when, of just some of McFarlane's work.
Yeah,
in Spider-Man.
Right here. What was this consistent with? How he would be at Marvel too? Because I don't mind it, but and I see what we're trying to do here, but
now there's some stuff too, like because this is him pretty much doing. I mean, like Marvel, everyone had to be illustrated.
Right.
Okay. It's not like you would see. Now, obviously, like seeing Billy kind of in shadow here, like that's done for dramatic effect, and it looks very creepy as hell.
Right.
But everyone is, I think, for the most part, going to have a pretty. Because I was actually, just for fun, earlier this week I was reading Spider-Man 300 and the second and third full appearances of Venom as well, just because I was in the mood to I just wanted to read some classic Venom when he was an up and coming villain and catching people's attention, and just there's some stuff that McFarlane would do, like I'm like, he draws villains wonderfully. Drawing regular people can be like a hit and miss with him sometimes. I feel like it can look awfully messy and sloppy, and over exaggerated to the point where, like, God, like this doesn't look pretty at all. Like this
now that he's doing his own thing here and doing that, he's like, well, fuck it, I can do whatever I want. And I think that's kind of what I was getting at, that like, while this is creepy, just sort of the unfinishedness of this, a little inconsistent to me when I'm reading through these, especially in the issues previous to this. When you get to those last couple pages, or you got like a nice splash page of Violator and Spawn, it looks fucking phenomenal, right? But then you get to certain spots like this, and you're just kind of like, yeah. But also, you take that, like, I really love this. I love the way this looks. It kind of has a.
But I feel like that one shot you're talking about has there's a logic behind it. Like, you're setting a full scene of like, and sometimes you'll see that in comics where the details are lacking because it's displaying the. I don't know. I feel like I'm lacking the proper words to describe this, but I feel like the way that is illustrated with lack of detail, I feel like it serves a purpose.
Okay.
Because it relies more on the color and the way how I just feel like the simple color on Billy, and it's serving a purpose. Like, everyone else is in like kind of muted earth colors, and he's only one lit up in red.
Right. And we'll see as we go through this if there's any other parts that I pick up on personally that kind of reflect more of what I was thinking when it came to this. That I feel that sometimes there could be some inconsistencies with this art. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn here, but we'll see.
Because I like I said, like sometimes like when he would draw like women, they could look ridiculous. Like Mary Jane's hair could look this is not beautiful. This is just like this is too much. This is overkill or overt kill to kind of play off. It's not like, but I like the way he draws Wanda and Angela. Even though Angela's got, this big boisterous hairdo, I just feel like, he can kind of tone things down a bit. Well, no, because he drew Black Cat really well too. I don't know. Maybe it's just certain characters, I think. But the way he draws villains, like Venom and Lizard, for one example, the way he drew Wolverine and the way he draws villains in the Spawn series, like, I mean, it's unbelievable. I often feel like Eric Larson was very similar. He followed McFarlane in Spider-Man, and I felt like the way he drew was very similar to McFarlane, like, because even though Eric has a distinct look too, it's very similar to McFarlane's. And I don't know if I don't mean that as an insult or something like that, because I like Eric Larson's work a lot on Spider-Man and the Solo book.
Right.
And he's also the guy who did Savage Dragon too. So I think he does very good work, but I think it's very similar to McFarlane's. Some people may even say close. I mean, because Jim Lee, I feel like all three of those guys, if you look at it, I could tell which one is which, just by looking at them. But if you put this up to somebody, they may even say they're very similar. And I feel like, well, McFarlane's definitely. Well, you know what? I don't have a point here. I'm just gonna shut the fuck up.
We get some more exposition.
Yeah.
On. And then we kind of get the
traditional.
This reminds me of Frank Miller a lot.
Yes. Yeah. And he may have been inspired by some of Frank Miller's work, because these are in a lot of the issues. The E Channel, CNN. I forgot what the third. Oh. Yeah. That one there.
But it also it gives you a good indicator of different channels having their own narrative of certain events, and only focusing on certain things and not others, while the others are focusing on the other thing that they're not focusing on. So
yeah, everyone has their own viewpoint, and like the E Channel's focusing on like fashion shit like that, and they're all talking about the release of Billy Kincaid.
Yes.
But they all have a different perspective on it. One guy's all about conspiracies, like Jesse Ventura.
Yeah.
Conspiracies.
Oh, man. But a lot of this ties into, we'll read it right here. It was nearly 8 years ago that a jogger in New York City found Amanda Jennings' body under the George Washington Bridge. The 8-year-old girl was the daughter of former Senator Paul Jennings. Jennings' high-profile extramarital affair tarnished his re-election bid a year earlier. Some sources felt that his more traditionally oriented former supporters and law enforcement gave the matter less attention than it warranted. So, in between this, when you take so far 7 pages into this, very wordy, very exposition heavy. Which I have no problem with, but it's also in between here when you're reading these certain things, like some of this shit hidden in between here kind of builds on to what's going to happen in further issues.
Yeah.
To tack into the story to round out what happened to Al Simmons.
I could see some people thinking, why is this in every issue? Like, it serves a purpose.
Yeah, right.
You may feel like it may slow things down a bit, but I think it's world building.
Yes.
Essentially what it is. In a very, in a very relatable way, because we all know, how we get our news today is, depends on your forte. You want CNN, you want Fox. Do you want the local? Do you want national?
Yeah.
Do you, and of course, when you've got, these three here, from three different perspectives, three different agendas.
But it's also, when you think about it, this isn't Batman, this isn't Spider-Man. It's not an established character. The Spawn's, you're still, like, you're building this universe.
Yeah.
And every comic kind of starts there. Now, granted, of course, you're not going to get, it's not going to be as wordy as this and like a Spider-Man book early on. Well, I don't know. Stan Lee had a tendency to write like paragraphs.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Some of those really early ones, it's like, oh my God, like, what, the picture tells me enough. I don't need to read all this, these blocks and blocks and blocks of trying to explain that Spider-Man's walking down the street here. Like, yeah, I know he's walking down the street. I know what's going to happen. I know what he's thinking. I don't need Stan to oh my God, yeah. Some of those I'm not afraid of. I'll just skip over some of them. I'm like, fuck this, man. Like I just
there
don't
have been times
need it.
when I'm reading it and there's a lot of stuff I'll skim through it, just try to pick out the important words as I'm.
Yeah. There's ones I feel like
I get it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I don't. I
know where the story's going. You don't have to like hold my hand through this.
Yeah, pretty much. Which I know, like their target was young people, so I understand why they're doing it. But as I'm reading, I don't feel like sometimes I feel like the narration helps sometimes, but for the most part, even books I've never read before, I'm like, I don't need the narration to help me tell the story that's going
Yeah.
on here. The words, the actions, the beautiful pictures, that's telling me the story. The narration, it's sometimes I'll feel like it's not even needed.
How about this, Ren McKenzie? Tyler's Spawn pieces weren't too bad.
Holy shit! Him of all people, I never ever would have thought he would have. But Red, I really do appreciate that.
Let me
Thanks
just put
a
this
lot.
on screen again and let it linger there for a minute, just so we have this on record for sure.
Yes, and he
Right.
probably won't ever say it again, or he'll deny it tomorrow night.
Oh yeah,
that he ever said
he'll
it.
deny it. He's like,
Yeah.
Spinner Rack, never heard of it.
Yeah, but
I wasn't there.
Ren, I do appreciate that, man. Thanks a lot.
Now this is when the stories we're finally going to start to take off with this here.
And yeah, definitely. Kind of, again, establishing more of the that Wanda's moved on. She's got a child that Al couldn't give her, and that's something too. Is these early issues, or and the animated series as well too, like emphasizing the pain like Al goes through. I want to say this too. It is so messed up how people act like Black Panther was so cutting edge, and everyone forgets about Spawn and Blade.
Yeah.
Because they weren't these giant mega tentpole movies with Marvel pushing it. It's like, and why does everyone forget that Black Panther wasn't the first black superhero on screen? Like Blade and Spawn came along well before.
Yeah,
and,
well
before, and yet I know Spawn didn't start a franchise. It didn't live up to what I guess they were hoping it would do. But
I think, with Black Panther coming out, that with what was going on in the world, I think when that came out, it unfortunately correlated with events that were going there, but in a good way, because it was empowering, and the representation which people like. I get it, but when some people, going back to your point, when some people do toss out the fact that they just act like that Black Panther was the first time this has ever been done, when you go back and you look and you're like, no, Blade was here, that's a Marvel property, and you also have Spawn at the time when it came out. I get that part, but I think it was just that event that all these terrible shitty things were happening, and I think it all just blended together.
I get, if Black Panther had been better, I still, my mindset would have been different though. I just feel like, guys, this has been done before, whether it was good or not. It's like, and that's why it is bothersome that Spawn is not as celebrated. It is a black character.
Yes.
Is he your traditional black? No, but he is a black character, and it's not focusing on the fact that he's black. He is just he's a man.
Right.
And it's not emphasizing the issues of race or anything like that. And that's something you got to give all the credit in the world to McFarlane's. Like, I want to do a brand new superhero, my own creation. And you know what? We need to have a black character. That's one thing I liked about how Roy Thomas thought about when he worked at Marvel. Like, when he was working on the Conan book, he came up with the character Zula. It's like, I want to have a new character. We need a black character in this world of Conan. It's much like Conan, and give him a whole new backstory. We need expansion. We need to have different ethnicity, different races, because this builds a world. There are more people out there, and they're not focusing on the skin color. It's there is a variety of people.
I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing. It's more about putting the focus. Like, you see what we did there? Hey, this is gonna sound terrible. Look, it's black people. Like, look, let's see what we did. I don't want to go too much further than that. I will say this,
but it's the truth. And yes, I'm aware it's two white guys sitting here saying.
That's what it kind of makes.
But we also want to emphasize too. We've always thought, and that's why I just missed the days when you just saw people. The idea of racism and all this bullshit. I hate. I swear to God, it's the worst thing in the world. But I just love to know that when you read these books, you're not thinking of anything else. You're not thinking, oh, look what he did there. You see it as it's a man, and he's going through problems. He's going through these unbelievable issues that no one could ever fathom. There's no point in issuing. By the way, he's a black man. Like he
I don't know.
happens to be black.
I don't
Like
know
as
if
an
you knew that
actor,
or not, but he's
you know.
black. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
like
get
no,
it,
he's a man. He's a man.
but also too, it's not our place either to say, because well, you know, like you said, we are two white guys. It's not like we've had to deal with being suppressed for
No,
this entire
I
time
just
and
feel like
dealing with like other stupid bullshit.
I guess from my perspective, I've always thought like, you know, well, why isn't, you know, more people like Carl Weathers and Billy D. Williams starring in more movies when they're incredible talent. You know, you got
that could have also been that kind of that shitty thing,
you know.
that unspeakable thing that the loud part wasn't spoken of until
Well,
recent.
but then we have like Wesley Snipes, who's like headlining a lot of movies in the '90s too. So I you know, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, there are, you know,
Ren says comics were not cool in the Spawn and Blade days. That plays a big part into it too.
Yeah, because even though like when Blade came out, it was a big hit.
It was,
you know,
modest hit. Yeah, it did well.
Yeah, I mean, but I felt like that was the germ that started superhero movies back. Like, you know, when Spawn came out, you know, that was the same summer as Batman and Robin and Shaq Steel. Not the most promising year for superhero movies. It just wasn't. But when Blade came out, it's like, oh my god, like a rated R comic book movie that's bankable.
Yeah.
You know, there's
it's good, and
it's good. Yeah, and it's like, oh my god, it's not just for kids. Like adults are going to see this rated R comic book movie, and it's making money.
Yeah.
You know, and it just and the next thing you know, X-Men and Spider-Man come out, and we're off and running. And but it is unfortunate. But even though Spawn was so damn popular back in the '90s, like, I mean, to the point where Marvel ripped off Spawn and made Night Watch, and put him into the events, Spider-Man event story of Maximum Carnage, like just to help get him over. Like, and it didn't work at all. And I remember seeing that as a kid, like, oh my god, like even I knew, like, yeah, you guys aren't trying at all to sit, or you got no shame. Like, why do you need to have corporatism? Yeah.
Yeah, corporations. Going back to that's kind of the biggest problem. Also said Blade didn't promote as a superhero or comic movie. Yeah, it was. It was to me. It was just promoted as like, here's just cool action movie with vampires.
Well, I guess because I knew who Blade was.
Well,
me and my brother saw it, was like, oh my god, it's a fucking Blade movie, man.
Absolutely,
awesome.
But that's what I'm saying. The way it's promoted to the general public isn't. It's a comic book movie, but it's being masqueraded and promoted as, hey, here's this action.
Well, I think even too, like, you know, like when Spawn came out, you know, I'm sure there probably were some people who had no idea it was a comic book.
I feel like that's slightly different though, because if we're going on this, like Blade, prior to the movie, not a very popular character.
No, he definitely, well, much like Iron Man. I mean, Iron Man was a C-level character in Marvel before that movie came out. Like, I mean, honestly, unless you bought action figures in the '90s and you did read comic books, I'm sorry, you'd be lucky if some people knew who Captain America was.
Right.
But they sure as hell probably didn't know who Iron Man was. And even at the time, I thought Iron Man was like, you know, he was I knew who he was, thought he was cool, but he was definitely a lower tier character.
But Spawn, during this time, is in the conversation. Even then, because it was such a big deal when it came out and it was new, that more people would know about Spawn when the movie is going to come out, as opposed to Blade. But going back to Wanda here, one thing I wanted to touch on is, in the earlier issues, when he's coming to and he's trying to remember stuff, he's in Al's mind, he's thinking it's only been a couple days or a week or so. It's been 5 years. So very jarring for him to go and see this. And like we said before, they weren't able to have a kid, and now she has
one by his best friend. And it's something that's just seeing this kind of image of like the daughter he never had sleeping. He's asleep in the alley, and this is constantly on his mind. Like, he's an observation of Wanda and Cyan. And just, you know, I think we've all gone through what it's like to be lovesick, at least at one point in our lives.
Right.
This guy comes back, you know, as essentially a corpse with powers, but, you know, being told by the devil you can see your wife, yet you can see her with another man and have the child you couldn't have, as only the devil would do.
Right.
And you're like,
Because that's the whole deal. He's like, I want to see my wife again. And he's like, all right, here you go.
Yeah,
you
there you
can
go,
see
yeah.
her again. Now, look, she's had a kid. She's with your best friend. Like, how that would, I mean, that is a punch to the gut. Like,
It's when anytime you would see a girl you were crazy about with somebody else, whether you knew them or not, there's no more sickening feeling that, you know.
It goes back to that story that was in middle school at the sock hop, where I'm just sitting there in the bleachers and John's consoling me because Erica's out there on the floor dancing with some other guy, and I had to just sit there and look at it. It's like I feel like
Spawn. I'm lying at the bottom of the bleachers there. You know.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. But when you watch us play out, there's Nathan. The bottom of the bleachers.
Me right there. I'm just like.
But it's like, as an adult, I've never been married before, but you feel like if you were to see like the woman you love more than anything with a child by another man who was your best friend, like, God,
it would be weird and hard and awkward. Sure.
Absolutely. It's, and then to know that you look like a corpse.
Yeah.
That you could never approach your wife and say, Wanda, like I'm alive still.
Yeah, you look like shit.
Yeah, like,
and she might not even recognize you because you're so scarred over and
I mean, like an early issue, he shows up as a white man with blonde hair.
Yeah,
at her doorstep. You know, and he's like, he's kind of pissed off. Like, this is the best I can do. I can dress up as a white man.
Yeah,
It's understandable. Like, it's just how frustrating the life for Al Simmons is. Even though knowing that, his past life, he was not a good man. I mean, he worked for the government as a hitman, essentially, and killed a lot of people. It's not like he was, the American Golden. I mean, even though he's portrayed as this American hero,
right?
But he really was
there's a dark back half to the character.
Yeah.
Right here, he can't let it go. He's like, he's out. He's gonna kill again. I know he will. So they're gonna do a stakeout.
Stakeout, yeah. Just it almost sounds like Sam is like, that's what they're a counterbalance to each other. And whereas Sam is so much like, fuck this. Sam and Twitch is like, no, what? We're gonna uphold the law. We'll just go on stakeouts and we'll just catch the son of a bitch. Because we know he'll do it again or attempt to, and when he does, we'll be there.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Well, the whole thing is he's really angry at here, and this is when Twitch interjects. So I was wondering if you're free after work for the next 2 weeks or so, if you'd like to join me in my new hobby, midnight stakeouts. Just a couple of pals doing a little male bonding in the same neighborhood by coincidence as a certain child killer. What do you say, pal? Twitch, I like your style. Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
It's kind of more of Sam is If we're going, like, because we do this a lot with like Ninja Turtles and shit, I would definitely be the Sam and Tyler would be the Twitch. He would be the more level-headed guy. It's like, hey, look, how about we do this? I'm like, oh, wait, you know what? That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, and whereas Nathan's the Raph and I'm the Leo for sure.
Exactly.
Like that's. And as we see here, Mr. Kincaid is already back up to his
2 days.
Shit.
2 days is all it took.
And you can see right there in the truck. Some poor child has already met their demise already. Like, he ain't bothered to oh God.
And just the dialogue here. Just hi, that sure is a pretty dress you have. And the girl here is probably what, maybe 6.
Hell, probably even younger than that.
Maybe.
But probably 6 at the oldest. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just tells her that she can go in and grab any popsicle she wants. And next thing you know, he's at home completing a finger painting. How fucked up is that?
Yeah. It's so fun.
Oh God!
And just a little look at the interior of Juan Joe Amato's home.
Yeah, Rick Poe, you got lucky there.
This could have been you.
Yeah, dude. You could have been Joe's next finger painting.
Oh man,
Joe's just getting ideas.
Yeah. Maybe Joe won't watch this episode. Oh, but look at this. But look at this.
Dressing up like a little girl too, like, just emphasize how fucked up the serial killer is, man. Which I felt like a lot of them had these weird. I mean, outside of doing the really fucked up shit they would do, they also had some other things that they would dabble in, and he likes to dress up as a little girl.
Yeah, it's yeah, nope. Once again, implications, and we had here on the previous, like, little bits of blood. It could have, I would assume, like, it could have been gorier if they
Well, I
really
think
wanted
probably
to.
too when you're dealing with the guy that's killing children, you got to be
Yeah,
able.
you
If
got
you're
to
going to
pull
get
back.
away with this, and you want people like coming down on you too much, like he's not trying to sell like he's setting this up so Spawn can beat the fuck out of this guy.
I'm genuinely surprised, due to its popularity and hype when it was released, that this kind of didn't get a little more attention in terms of backlash. I don't want my kids reading this kind of material, etc., etc.
Well, that's probably why you never saw Spawn sold at a 7-Eleven or
Yeah.
local food line with the rest of
Right.
the Marvel and DC comics.
True.
You always had to go to an actual
It
comic
had to go to a
shop to
comic
get them.
shop. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like you could get away because that's where a lot of the more mature comic books were always sold were in the actual vendors.
Right.
Yeah, that specialize in it.
Yeah, I kind of wasn't thinking about that aspect. Looking back on it now, yes, the only time I would see Spawn would have been at OGs.
And yet, the Spawn action figures did come with comic books.
Uh-huh.
You know, I think even some of them were essentially reprints of some of the earlier books.
And that's badass.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, these days it would probably cost like $50. I know DC's kind of doing it now, where they have a figure and there's a comic book attached.
Yeah,
I would like to see more of that. Marvel
Legends.
Me too.
I mean, because obviously, if you're getting, because Marvel Legends used to do that. When Toy Biz was putting those out, like those first few Spider-Man figures that came out, they had like these, the earlier ones of some of the Fantastic Four members and things like. I don't know what point they stopped putting comic books in them, but it wasn't nice if you really just liked it as a cool action figure. Like I've never read a comic book, or
it was later stages of Toy Biz before Hasbro took over.
Yeah. So, but I think even
so,
like I think Toy Biz stopped putting comics with their figures well after a while, though. Like I think into the early 2000s, or later 2000s, I think.
Philippe asked, "Was this book under the comic code?"
I don't think.
I don't think it was either.
I don't think any of the Image books were, because I think that's kind of the goal, is that they were independent. That was the thing. They could do whatever they want and not be expected to uphold. If they wanted to be vicious and adult and imply, sexual content or extreme violence, gun violence, they could do it and not have to worry about. I think that was one of the things about these guys, like, what, fuck this,
Yeah.
We're coming up with all these great designs and stuff like that. Marvel's not giving us our share for their success, so we'll fucking leave them, and they took a big hit after that. So
yeah. But I mean, hey, to take a big hit and to take a pay cut to do your own thing and put more of your passion out there, I think the risk is.
Well, just knowing how well these guys did. I mean, Jim Lee and Eric Larson and Todd McFarlane all got animated series off their original creations at Image. Yeah. Trading cards, action figures, with Wildcat, Savage Dragon, Spawn.
Spawn got a movie.
Spawn got its own movie. And these comics, I don't know if Wildcats is still. I think it was still going at some point under another branch. Fuck, I don't know. I just feel like these books were going for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, well into our adult lives. So I think they made the right decision. I mean, they've done fun little nods for other people. I think they came back. They did part of like Heroes Reborn. I think Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee came back and worked on that some. And I know McFarlane, I think he's done a couple of covers and things like that here and there.
But now it's great because he can just pop in and be like, "Yeah, I'll do that."
Yeah, I mean,
he can afford the luxury to do that because he took the risk and the reward paid off for him. But Al was hanging back when he's seeing them together, and it goes back before of the name tears through Spawn's heart like a bullet. It's a name that he so desperately wanted to be called during his life with Wanda, which was Dad.
Just more, it's shitty to see him go through so much, but it makes the character relatable to go through pain and anguish. If you're watching someone go through nothing, that's what makes so many good superheroes. If they go through a lot of, shitty things, we all think we got shitty things going on in our lives, bad day at work, relationship issues, money troubles, whatever. You see Spawn going through, oh my God, like I can relate to that. Yeah. It sucks to see, this guy's going through this terrible loss, and you're going through some shitty things too. So it's even though it's we're not going through every day as a hellspawn with chains and awesome cape and all that stuff. But
Awesome.
seeing the
Yeah.
pain and stuff like that sometimes
Yeah.
is a little.
I like how you
relatable.
emphasize the awesome cape.
Yeah,
Everything
but
else is shit, but he's got an awesome cape.
he's got an awesome cape and awesome powers, and he's got access to all these kick-ass guns, and he just looks awesome with guns.
Here's Joe's kindred spirits, the
Yeah.
hobos.
Joe would
out,
feel right at home here.
Yep. Sharing stories.
And actually, he might be doing that right now, for all we know.
Which you get a lot more of these guys early on in the animated series. I know we keep going back to that, but there's a lot more camaraderie there that I see more in the series than I did reading the first issues.
They really watch out for each other because it is a community where Spawn essentially becomes like their protector. I mean, the alleys become his home, and they live in those alleys, so therefore he watches over all of them.
And the cops don't give a shit about these guys.
No, because they're homeless. Joe, can you relate to that, Joe?
They're bums. They have no life. They may as well not have a name.
Oh, look, they killed Joey.
Oh, hey, yeah, shit. How about that? I wasn't even thinking about that.
Well, it is, people. Joe has been drawn dead in amongst the garbage bags, but as we all know, you can't kill Joe Amato. He's like a cockroach.
Yeah, he's like Jason Voorhees. Just keeps.
He just keeps coming back more and more. And as they're kind of venting about one of the boys just being killed by the cops, they emphasize that the law has just let Billy Kincaid out, which stirs up a distant memory in Al Simmons here that he was at one point hired to kill Billy.
Yeah. Which is a cool little twist of events. I kind of enjoyed this a lot reading these first few issues where shrouded in mystery, yet as we're going along, we're untangling it. I really like the storytelling in these.
Yeah, it's extremely well done, and it's this long stretch of very enjoyable storytelling because I don't know at what point McFarlane hung it up and either didn't do the writing or the art or both. I don't know when because I didn't get to read every issue of Spawn, unfortunately. But there's a lot of passion put into these early issues. I mean, you just tell it's all over. It's the artwork, the storytelling, and just the detail, like seeing like Al's face inside the map. And just seeing the court making the decision, and it's like, all right.
Abandoned shack in Northwest Virginia. So that checks out.
Yeah. Yep.
That checks out.
Knowing that this guy had been doing this for a long time, they knew about it, and they blew up the evidence that anything else had happened.
Yeah.
All under government conspiracy.
And I like this a lot, having the shot of Spawn, having the chains, but also having the little bubbles within. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And linking the connection to his boss. And essentially saying this is like, you know what? I have unfinished business. I need to get my mind off things. I'm going to go kill this son of a bitch. And just seeing this shot, like...
This made me think of Batman, honestly.
Very much so, yeah. Yeah. It's just, it's got definitely inspirations of Batman there. It's a beautiful shot. That's one of the cool things about... That was one of the cool things about drawing Spawn, too, is when I was younger, was the cape was so much fun to draw.
Yeah.
I mean, like the collar. I even used I used a combination in one other art project of Spawn and Emiliano's Scareglow to come up with the Headless Horseman for a college project.
Really?
Yeah. And I drew on the tombstones in the cemetery of the Headless Horseman waiting on Naked Body Crane. I put Todd McFarlane, Emiliano, just people that because I was inspired by Emiliano's artwork. I'm like, hey, I'm essentially drawing what Emiliano did and combining it with Todd McFarlane with what he did. And I'm like, they get all the credit. I just thought it'd be fun to draw, But Spawn's cape was so much fun to draw, in illustrations like that. Like it was big.
I mean, look at that here in scale to his body, just how much it can expand.
Yeah.
Outward.
It's a life of its own, and watching that in the chains come to life in the animated series with the sound effects and everything. It's it's so easy to read these, and all you hear is the voice of Keith David.
Yeah,
it's just it's so easy.
What's great about this panel here is building up to this. He spent so much time reflecting on the past and hurting and thinking about all of that. And now that this has triggered something in him, now being the Spawn, as it says here, he has a purpose now. Like that, this is because of this. This is what's going to drive him to really embrace what he is now.
Yeah, that even though was created to lead evil, he's decided to use those powers for good, and pretty much give the devil the finger.
I always love stakeout scenes, and I always love just them in the car. Anybody, movies, comics, whatever, where they're having the banter, they're eating the food. Or Eddie Murphy, Foley, sends out the food to the cops,
and then put the banana in the tailpipe.
Yeah, which was awesome. You get more establishing friendship banter here between Sam and Twitch, and they're talking more about Senator Jennings, and meanwhile Spawn just sneaks
right up. Yep.
Yeah, don't even see him. I like this right here. I like how Twitch is drawn most of the times in these backward shots. I prefer this one better than I did at the beginning when I was pointing out. Yeah.
I think it's a very distinct, like it's Twitch. Yeah, with the big lenses and the puffy hair, like you just know it's him. Yeah.
All right.
And seeing Kincaid is just brooding that he has no action going on.
He hates nights, no sun, no kids, no fun. Ugh.
Fucking disgusting. And the shot down at the bottom when he starts to smile is the way he draws teeth. It looks a lot like Clown when Clown smiles, but the way he draws villains smiling a lot. With the shadow work and the teeth almost look like fangs, almost like sharp animal teeth.
Right.
Even though they're not sharp, it's just they're so. I don't know, like that just looks so malicious, like the way he draws those teeth, and you have, her teeth. She got little kids' teeth there. I don't know. It's just implying the fact that Spawn, Wanda and Terry's child could be the next victim.
Well, he says here he's at it again. It doesn't matter who he takes. He doesn't care whose kid it is. It could be anyone's, and that's when he starts reflecting on her.
Yeah, and
Billy, that's a good one because he's talking to himself and he's laughing to himself because tomorrow will go out and play, but I need to find some excitement tonight. Now let me think. Like he's.
Yeah,
here we go. Even Wanda.
It's like you really do. You could either believe that Al is just thinking that she could be next, or Billy has seen her and is thinking in his mind, "I remember the image of that beautiful child. She'll be the next victim," and it's just so fucking unsettling. And then seeing that shot there, that's just. And they know something's going on in the house.
Yeah, because
they recognize that they see the tape.
We have a visitor.
Yeah. So they burst in and he's gone.
Well, because at this point he's killed a couple people in the mafia, so they're already kind of aware that
this guy is essentially a pawn. Like they pretty much. He's got connections in the government, essentially, that they let him get away with what he wants to do as long as he was willing to do favors and shit like that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fucked up, and you know what? Is very plausible, unfortunately, in our day and time to think that people so high up in certain positions could allow such fucking diseases out on this world like that.
Yep.
So it's very satisfying when you see that clawed hand come bursting through the door,
saying no more.
Yeah, and that who would not want to just dish out this kind of justice to these pieces of horse shit?
Yep. And then you see the shocked face here as Sam and Twitch are trying to
get to the house in time, and then that look of Spawn, like he's relishing. I mean, I'm just gonna fucking tear you up, dude.
And the little bit of wordplay that we always get with the ice cream.
Yeah. And they kind of burst in, and there's nobody there. You see the evidence of Billy's previous crimes. You see blood on the floor and the finger painting on the wall, and you start breaking it down, probably got, I don't want to think about it too much, but then they realize, what, this is fucked up. There's something's missing here.
Yeah.
And they get back to the office.
Yeah, but right here it says now we just have to get the chief to consent to letting us hunt down Kincaid. To let us hunt Kincaid down. Circumstantial evidence doesn't really thrill him. What if the chief doesn't go for it? Are we on our own again, sir? No, we do this by the book. Already bent the rules on our stakeout. Can't make any more exceptions. Opens the door.
And ta-da.
Boys screamed and girls screamed, so I made him scream and scream
and scream. And
that's how it ends.
It looks like a scene out of Hellraiser.
Yeah, it does. Got the ice cream shoved in his face there.
Yeah. And various popsicle sticks just jammed in his body like that. Like, fuck, I think he deserved even more than that.
Yeah. And what makes it wonderful is you don't get to see the obviously it's gory detail here, but we don't get to see all of it. It's just implied, and then we just see the end result.
Yeah, it's not, a
little more rewarding.
I'm sure too, because we don't know how much time has passed when they check out Kincaid's house and decide to go back. Spawn, we know can just act like that, so I have no doubt that he dished out every ounce of porky. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, he probably did. Judged off of that, he probably did make him suffer quite a bit.
Yeah, and how could you not?
Absolutely.
Whereas I think Al back in the day would just put a bullet in his head and be done with it. But now, the things are different. I have no doubt this guy suffered quite a bit, and
rightfully so.
Piece of shit. So it's and to drop him off right there for the police. Well, now what, guys? You don't have to worry. And I love that Al was like took it right to their office.
Yeah.
So that way, you know what, guys? You've been working on this. Here he is.
Yeah.
You guys don't need to worry anymore. I fucked him up.
Yeah. So that is Spawn issue 5. Fedmon had asked, is this guy dead for the rest of the series, right? And Ren says no.
No. And that's comes back to issue 8. He is in hell and is drafted to be a new Spawn.
Oh, okay. So I have a lot to look forward to then, because I only made it through issue 6 and I need to just dive back in, but I got to the overt kill or overkill.
Yeah.
You get a little bit introduction to him, but going past issue 6, let's kind of quickly glance over going into issue 10. What does happen? You mentioned he comes back. He's in hell. He becomes a new Spawn in issue 8.
Yeah.
What else goes on?
I remember Jason Wynn comes into the picture. Chapel shows up, I think, a couple issues later as well. Angela shows up.
Okay.
Because she's introduced as someone who hunts down all Hellspawn over the centuries. She sets them up and takes them out, and has been quite successful at doing so. And she gets her sights set on Al, and I think it's issue 9. I think.
Okay.
It's right after when the issue pretty much focuses on these people that are essentially in hell.
Yeah.
And Billy Kincaid is taken in by a Violet. I don't know if it's the same Violet or maybe it's a different one. But they pretty much force him to do. It's almost like he's not suffering at all or anything like that. But it's. I mean, they're setting it up as like, this guy. It's like if you watch the animated series too. It's like, they're keeping tabs on this guy. This guy's going to be something really special in Hell's Army because of how fucked up he is.
which I also need to finish because we did Spawn when we were doing Capes and Commentaries ages ago, and I watched the first couple episodes again just in watching this. I need to finish that.
It's so 90s, and I love it for it. Because
no, absolutely. A product of its time, but
very well done though.
Very well done.
Still holds up. Animation is great. Voice acting is good. It's violent. It's aggressive.
Yeah.
It doesn't shy away from mature content because it's not light and fluffy, Disney superhero bullshit.
Right.
Everything's all cute and chibi and shit.
Oh my god! I was wondering. We haven't heard you say that in quite some time, saying chibi. So I'm kind of.
Yeah. Well, I know Ren likes to draw shit like that. Why do you like to draw? Why do you draw that stuff, Ren?
Well, we'll take a couple questions from the chat, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up. This was one earlier from Philippe. This Wednesday Spawn number 350. You guys buying? Probably not.
No, probably no. I stopped when I bought that Spawn Batman crossover. What a piece of shit that was.
I still haven't read it. I bought it.
Don't
as well.
Don't bother. They try so hard to tie in the backstory of that Bruce Wayne and Al Simmons are almost kindred spirits. Like they're somehow fucking connected. Like fuck you. Stop trying to connect everybody.
No, yeah, that
you might as well just sit there and say they were long lost brothers at this point.
I mean,
that Thomas Wayne, fucked another woman and they had Al and or whatever. I just stop.
Ren had said earlier, Savage Dragon is still going, but basically by order. Comic shops don't automatically order them.
Well,
that's an interesting business model for a comic.
Yeah.
When it comes to when you're asking Ren why does he draw the chibi shit? Because I like to eat, is what he said.
Well, it pays the bills. So,
question for Fedmon, and I can't answer this really. Best Spawn villain or group of villains?
I know there's so many of them. Just from a visual standpoint, I thought Redeemer was really cool looking. The Curse was really cool looking. Tremor. Now, Cygor, just from a visual standpoint, is.
That's what I was going to ask you, because you're saying like visually. Now, when it comes to what they actually do in the comic, is that a totally different ball game?
No, I have to go back and read more of them,
okay.
or revisit. I always remember the visuals stuck out more to me because I think back when I was reading them, the story really wasn't connecting with me. And like, oh my god, I was like the visual, like I really want to. I want to draw that guy. I want to draw that guy. So.
Well, Spawn Compendium 1 is only $41 right now. Compendium 2, which I actually have saved on my wish list on Amazon, it's currently $53, but the price does dip into the 40s quite often. Okay. Volume 3 is $43, and I want to say they're all each 50 issues in each.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I might just buy all of them and just, Grant, I say this shit, and I'm like, yeah, I haven't read anything.
That's why. Well, hopefully we do another Spawn issue. We can get Ren to join us sometime too. And
next time, guaranteed for Ren. Next time we talk Spawn, we'll have Ren here on the rack. Yeah. We were talking earlier about what have you guys bought lately? Now this is a few weeks back, and I also have not read this, but gotten really into Godzilla movies in the last little bit, and of course. Love me some Fantastic Four, so I did buy the King of the Monsters, where the Fantastic Four fight Godzilla. I don't know how good any of these Godzilla comics from Marvel are. My expectations are very low because
I just would have fun with them.
Yeah,
I wonder if the Marvel app even has those to read, or they
don't.
Pretty much.
No, they don't. You can actually you can get the Marvel Essentials trade paperback, but all of those are in black and white. And that's kind of a bummer. So
it sucks that Marvel had all the knowing you can't read the Conan books in the Marvel app.
Dude, I really wish the Conan books were on there.
That's the one I'm the most disappointed that they don't have. Like they don't have G.I. Joe, they don't have Star Wars, they don't have Conan, they don't have Red Sonja. They don't. I mean, all of these various properties that they had at one point, they just even though Marvel ran these books for years.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, just read our current bullshit where we're just rebooting and retconning every fucking thing.
And they could afford to work out a deal.
Fuck yeah, they could. They just choose not to. I mean, I guess if since they couldn't bring Conan back successfully, like, well, yeah, fuck that. We'll just let it go again and give it to somebody else who gives a fuck.
Yeah, I'll have to get that 4K of both of those. It was out of stock on Amazon, but they had the price of like $44, and I should have just added it to the cart and ordered it. And then when it came back in stock, got it. But I guess I'll still just hold out. I would like to get
Oh,
that.
I can't wait to get that to come in. I'm so eager to watch like all the new interviews and watch the films with new commentaries.
Yeah, the bonus features is
Oh my
big
god,
big selling
I'm
point for
just
this.
so big on that. Like hearing any more behind the scenes stuff about Conan the Destroyer, because I just feel like there's not a whole lot. I mean, there's a decent amount, but I'm like, I want to know more details about the making of that film. That's what I always love to talk to Roy Thomas and Jerry Conway, because they wrote, several drafts for that, but they, you know, they're credited with it. But I think a lot of stuff they wanted to do is not in the film. Like they took a different route. But I just, I know they did like their own version of like the Horn of Azoth, the one that Rebecca had autographed by Jerry Conway, which is like their version of the movie, what they intended it to be.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's more stories of like them working on the script for that film and just hearing, their thoughts of like, we were going to do this and this didn't happen and this and that. And
You'll have to definitely let me know how the special features hold up on those. That way, when it does eventually come back in stock,
yeah,
I'll pick it up.
I know William Stout has a brand new interview for Conan the Barbarian, since he was like a storyboard artist.
Hell yeah! You're like, hey, I've talked to that guy. I know that guy. I
know. I even have his Conan Christmas card that he designed. He threw that in the package of stuff he autographed for me. It's on my fridge in there. Yeah, it's so fucking cool. God, I'd love to talk to that guy again. Oh my god! But we did it twice successfully.
I mean, hey, Rebecca's got the connection.
Yeah, we told her to do it, and what is she doing? she's not doing shit. She's not doing a damn thing.
Well, if we do get the opportunity,
John, you're married to her, right? Pull some strings. You're her husband. Confide in her. Tell her we need her help.
If we do manage to bring him on, let's talk Conan with him.
Plus, he also promised us a story from Predator, since he helped design the original Predator design that didn't failed. He promised us a story from Predator for the third time. He said, "When I come back, I'll give you a story about Predator that I worked on." I'm like,
let's get him back.
We never got it. But I think Rebecca, when she interviewed him for that guy that really hates us a lot, that he did like an interview. She did an interview with him about Predator, and so they did talk about that, which is really good.
Yeah, but we could dive deeper into that,
Yeah, and I think we would do a much better job than what the guy who hates us with a passion, especially you and I. I mean, we are like lower hell spawn to him. I mean, we're just
just like those bums in the alleyway that
or like the dog shit on the guy's boot in the movie theater. That's what we are to the guy who hates us so much.
At the Matrix fucking
Matrix Revolutions, whatever the fuck.
Revolution. It's all
anything
dog shit.
With Revolution sucks anyway, as we all know today.
Hey. All right. With that said, we'll go ahead and we'll just wrap it up. It's getting
I wonder if he really hates us still. You think he still really hates us?
I'm gonna say yes.
I just know you're laughing about it, so I just want to encourage more laughing there.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Hey, Simple Tricks and Nonsense. I bet you know he still hates us.
Oh fuck! With all that being said, I hope all of you enjoyed all of our movie discussion, our discussion of Spawn number 5. If you're new to this channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and always ring that bell so you get notified when we go live like this on a random Saturday night. More to come in the future, and more announcement on that later on.
So be alert.
Be alert. But until next time, we'll see you next issue.
You don't really think you'll win, do you? Things change.
Oh, god damn it. I should know. I
yes, you should know that.
You say it, and I'm like...
I could even get more specific. Like,
all right, go ahead.
All right. You don't really think you'll win, do you? Things change.
You just said... Oh, you're saying you're going to do the quote in a more...
I'm trying to be more, in character.
Oh God! I always brain fart on these things.
Or I'll throw more in the scene. Admiring your handiwork, touring the riot scene, gravely assessing the devastation, upstanding mayor's stuff. You're not the mayor. Things change. What do you want? Ah, the direct approach. I admire that in a man with a mask. You don't really think you win, do you? Things change. I just did the whole fucking scene.
Oh my god. My brain is so it's not really a justifiable thing, but my brain is so fried because of the news that I got late last night at work, which pertains to the thing that we'll talk about later
Yeah.
on, which is actually a very positive thing for this channel going forward. I was doing like just stupid shit. I was like grabbing things to go put it in the fridge, and I'm like, I like put a new toilet paper roll on the thing, and I was gonna take the toilet paper roll and throw it in the toilet, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like,
yeah, we all do stuff like that.
I wasn't thinking. Fedmon says Batman with Michael Keaton.
Well, yes, but we need to know which one.
It's got to be Batman Returns then.
Mm-hmm. So it's his showdown with the Penguin. He first meets the Penguin.
God.
After he's taken on the Red Triangle Gang for the second time, or maybe third time.
I asked.
Well, it's implied that they're back in town, so you kind of feel like Batman's fought them, before.
I ask you this just because most of the time when you deliver your movie quotes, it's something that you have watched very recently.
No, I haven't watched that in a while.
Okay, it's just something that you just popped in.
I was just thinking, like, I was going to do Terminator, but I'm like, that's a little too obvious, and I'm like,
yeah, because you were talking about it earlier.
Yeah, so I'm like, I'll do Batman Returns, which I feel like I've done that on our podcast before, and everyone farted,
As many times as I've watched Batman Returns, a lot of the dialogue in it never retained it.
I'll never forget that scene because that when Entertainment Tonight was hyping up the movie, they played that scene of Keaton meeting Penguin, then Catwoman shows up and says meow, and that was like outside of seeing a commercial on TV and pictures in a magazine. This was oh my god! I mean, we're seeing the scene here.
Well, dude, because internet didn't exist. We didn't have YouTube. So you had to rely on shows like Entertainment Tonight or Super Bowl commercials.
That was it. And it helped me. My mom, dad, and my brother, we all four sat down and watched that sequence on Entertainment.
Because they would hype it up.
Yeah.
They'd be like, all right. And they would do it days in advance. Be like, this Wednesday, exclusive clip, upcoming. Batman Returns, the sequel to the blockbuster Batman from 1989. Yeah.
Yeah, the hype for that movie was unprecedented.
I remember they did the same thing for a Batman Forever.
Oh my god!
When he comes crashing down on the fountain.
Yeah, at Riddler's big party. Yeah,
yeah, they played that on Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah.
Because I was like, holy shit, who's this new guy playing Batman? Oh, it's Val Kilmer. I haven't really seen him in anything at the time.
Oh, I know. Oh, because we were big Willow fans. Like, holy shit, Matt Morgan's playing Batman. Like, yeah.
But see, me being a dumb kid, I'd be like, I wouldn't put how he looks in Batman Forever and Willow and be like, that's the same guy. I was that dumb kid. I'm like, he's got long brown hair here. There's no way that's him.
So it's a shame we weren't friends back then.
I know. You could have provided all that information. I would have been one of those dumb kids to be like, that's not the Ultimate Warrior. The real Ultimate Warrior died, and this is the new guy. This is a new Ultimate Warrior. I didn't think that as a kid, but
I see the dynamic.
It could have happened.
Yeah. Because we were going to McDonald's trying to get the glasses. My dad bought us a Chase Meridian poster with her and her skirt and nylons. Like, I had it on display in my room. I had Jim Carrey's poster. We were Batman Forever nuts that summer. Like, it was so. I mean, for all three of those first three Batman movies. Hell, even Batman and Robin before it came out, I was so fucking excited about it.
I was checked out by then.
Oh no, I was like, Arnold's playing Mr. Freeze. Holy fuck!
Yeah,
it
was more like professional wrestling and girls.
Well, I was all about girls. I always picked girls. I just couldn't get them to talk to me. So it was, I had to live vicariously through the heroes in movies getting the girls,
And we can't forget "Kiss from a Rose," of course.
I was so obsessed with that song.
Same.
Like, I remember, oh my god, I asked my mom if she'd go to Kmart and buy the soundtrack. She came back with the book on tape. I said, "This is the soundtrack." And I finally got it, but it was
Yeah.
like, and trying to catch the music video on MTV.
Or VH1.
Or actually, no, I think I was watching more MTV at that
Okay.
time, and it was
Yeah.
not for MTV. It was just hoping I could catch the music video.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was like, I don't give a fuck about MTV and modern music and all that stuff, but I'm all about Seal because I love Seal.
Yeah.
Kissing a Rose, so it's still a great song.
It is, and Seal's a great artist.
Damn right he is. That guy deserves every bit of wealth and credit and success that he has. I just wish he was still doing more, which he probably is. But I'm so checked out on modern music, I couldn't tell you if he's done anything new or not. So
Right.
But I just associate him with the summer of Batman Forever, man. What a great summer that was. Movie doesn't hold that well, but
partially great summer because that's when I started going to the same babysitter that John was going to, and when I showed up, God, this is gonna sound bad. No, this is gonna sound bad when just the way I say it, but when I went there, so you'll know you'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So when I showed up to this, all the girls there were like, who's this new guy? Who's this new guy? And then we were playing dodgeball, and I was making like all these great plays and everything, and they were just like, ooh, new guy, who are you? And then John got pissed. John got pissed because, like, of course he had a crush on one of them, and one of them was like, hey, new guy, what's your name? So I started dating one of them. And then she came to my birthday party that year. And then a few weeks later, she broke up with me. So I'm sitting there with my portable CD player, my headphones on, sitting on the porch on the swing, listening to Kiss from a Rose. Oh, I'm just like, where did it all go wrong?
Well, mine's not as tragic as yours. There was a girl that went to my Bible school that one summer. She was from Canada.
Oh.
And she was a family member of one of the girls. Her name was Leslie,
it was just there for the summer.
For a brief time, and I was like in love with her from a distance. And that song, I associated her with that song.
Yep.
And I remember getting to kiss her at like the last day of Bible school, like on the cheek, and I was so proud about it. And just jamming to that song, like, yeah, man, I'm like Val Kilmer and Batman Forever.
And she's Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, she's my Chase Meridian. I never saw her again after that. But I had so many girls from a distance because I was so chicken shit about talking to any girls. But I would be infatuated, like girls I would see at the beach or something like that, stay at the same hotel, and be like, oh my god, she's so hot. Either you're like pining your stomach, like, oh my god. Yeah, she's so hot. I'm in love. You're like, nah. Just in your mind, you're thinking like, you don't understand, Mom. Like, she's so hot. I'm in love. Your dad's like, whatever, you'll get over it. Like, you don't understand.
I'm in love.
It's just, if only you could tell your young self, like,
dude, if I go back in time to that period, I just like smack myself in the face.
Yeah, it's like, shut the fuck up,
you
man.
dumbass. You just wait.
Wait. You haven't seen fucked up shit until like 20 years from now or something like that. You talking about pain. You'll be going through it a lot worse than this. You'll be wishing.
Well, what was funny about that breakup though is so at this babysitter's place, it was one of the girls, and then like she had a friend there. So when that one broke up with me, the friend was like, "Hey, I'm here for you if you need anything." And then I started dating her. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Kiss from a Rose again. It got
crank it up. We're going to the water park.
Yeah.
We're going to Emerald Point, baby. I can't swim, but it doesn't matter because I'm.
Yours was so much better than mine, man. I have nothing but shit stories. At least you would bounce back. I'm just.
But she was I think she was a year or two older than me. So
even better, dude.
So, but at that point she was like, she broke up with me, and it was because she found an older guy, and I'm like, man, I'm sitting here, I'm 12 years old. He's 14, man. He's got it all. He's older.
Then you hear Seals, baby.
I'm just sitting there.
Nathan walks down the sidewalk.
Oh man!
Oh my god! If only we had known each other.
I know
we could have been there to support each other with the soundtrack of Batman Forever, and
You'd
and
be like,
Spawn
you
comics.
know that's Val Kilmer, right? He played Mad Mardigan. And
Yeah, it's like, no, it's not. It's not real.
It's
It's like,
not him. He's got
yeah.
that guy's got long brown hair.
It's like, Nathan, I don't want any trouble. Well, you got trouble. Oh my
I couldn't
God!
think of
Like,
a better way to end this one.
Me too. You and I, we would have had the even better. Like, I think we both had pretty solid childhoods, but I think it would have been unfathomable if we had been friends back then.
Yeah,
you
I wouldn't have traded anything to you. Though. I was never one of those kids.
Well, then you wouldn't have been my best friend, probably. At least Matt helped with trade with me.
Yeah,
Matt, but then he was like, I did get you Ghostbuster, or not Ghost Rider #1 for your birthday. I'll trade you this if you give me this. So you know what? Yeah, I think we still would have been pretty damn good best friends back then too. Who knows? Nathan had all those cool toys, you know.
Yeah. Well, Ren said that we're dorks.
He's just Ren's just jealous.
Fuck you, Ren. You're just jealous. Right.
You and your chibis.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You and your full stomach and your cash and your Dan Fogelberg and your Pac-Man video games
and your hula hoops. He doesn't know it.